I'm Mungo Darkmatter, and welcome to Dark Matters. Today I'm going to start a series where I'm going to build a city using the fill command in Minecraft. I won't be using the fill command exclusively, but I will be using it to help me build the city much faster. And so what I've done here is I've taken some red wool and made a line right here. And then I've set a block right here. And this is acting kind of as a guide for me. Now I'm going to hop up on this block right here, and if I hit F3 it will bring up where our coordinates are, which says 241, 65, and 339. Now if I go forward from this point down, you'll see that the first number starts moving up. It's now up to 249. And if I go over in the direction of this line, you'll see the 3, or the third number, starts going up. The middle number is actually the elevation we are above sea level in this world. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my initial building down, and I'm going to make calculations off of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the command fill, and the first coordinate is going to be 241, 64, 339. That's where we're standing now, but we're standing on top of a block, so we're like 1 above ground level. So I've subtracted 1 from the 65 to make it 64. Alright, so then we're going to have to determine where the diagonal upper corner is to make a square. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 20 to the 41. Actually, I'm going to subtract 20 from it because it's a negative number. I'm going to make it 261. And the 64, I'm going to add 80 to it, so the building will be 80 blocks high, and so it's 144. And the last number, I'm going to subtract 20 from it, and so it will be 319. So let's run this command and see where it drops the building. Alright, that didn't work because I'm covering too much of an area. So let's try the command again, but I'm going to make it 104 instead of 144. So the building will be 40 blocks high, and let's see what happens when we do that. And we get a building here. And so let's hit through here. And you see we have a building that's 40 blocks high. Let's turn that off for a second. And it's 20 by 20. And we still have this line here. Let's continue this line. Alright, we'll just continue this line here so we have a frame of reference. Now what I've done is there are several things you can do. You can calculate things by placing another block. Say down here, so if you wanted the buildings that far apart, you place a block here, find out what that coordinate was, and put another building down. But I'm going to do it by just a calculation. So what we'll do here is we'll put the next command down, and we have 211, which adds 30 to the initial starting point, and then we're going to the second set of numbers, we're gonna add 20 to that, and what that should do is it should give us another 20 by 20 building that is going to be 40 blocks tall, but the spacing should be 10 in between it. So let's see if that worked out right. Yeah, it sure did. So now we have two buildings, and I've placed 10 blocks between them, or 10, yeah, the space of 10 blocks in between them. So we can actually make a road through here, or we can leave this pond there if we want. And it still follows our little red line here. They're all lined up. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is, I started out with a set of coordinates here, and I created a building here. Then I basically subtracted 30 from the first number of each set. So go back here and put another one down. This is going to be the next set. So I've subtracted, or here I've actually added 30 to each number, and so let's run this real quick. And so it puts another one down here. So we've made 3 buildings of the same size basically, and they're moving right along. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one more time. I've got another set of coordinates that I've already figured out here. So if we look, the middle of the 3 buildings right here is 211 is the start of the 3 coordinates, and then 231 is the second of the 3 coordinates. And if I go down, the next building over, the one that's right in front of us, is 181 and 201. So I've changed both numbers by 30. I've actually added 30 to them because it's a negative number. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to do the next one, and this one was at 180, started at 181, so this one starts at 151, and then the diagonal corner of this one was 201, and so we have 171 here. So we're just subtracting from each building. So if I run this command right here, we get another building, and they're evenly spaced. So we've made a row of buildings here very quickly by making calculations. The easiest way to do it is to write down the initial command on Notepad and then just copy that and do your addition or your subtraction. The other way you can do it is, let's hit F3. You can see this building right here is starting at 241, and if we go down here to this corner, this is 231. So what you could do is, if you wanted them at that space, is you could count off with blocks 10 in between, and you could find that your first block was right here at 231, and so that's how you could get your coordinates. And then you would just add to that 20, so you would get 211 on the other side here. So if we go down here, you can see it says 211 up there. There are coordinates. 210, 211 is right here. So you could calculate it that way as well. So already we have 3 buildings here. Now we have some ground we may have to dig out from here at some point. But the whole thing works out really well. Alright, so let's do another row of buildings parallel to this row of buildings, so we can make like another street over. And we're at 339 now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to that 339. I'm going to add 30. So let's take a look at what our command was. We go right back. we started out at 241, 64, 339. So we're going to add 30 to the third number, and what that will do is, since the building's 20 wide, it will give us, again, 10 spaces in between the buildings. And then on the second set, we're going to add 30 to it. So where it says 319, we are going to put 339. So let's go back here and go to this command right here. And we already have it set. You can see the third number here on the first set of coordinates is 369, and the second set is 349. So when we run this entire command, we have a building right down here next to our first building. And see, we have 10 in between it. So now I'm going to run the next command. And what I'm going to do is, since I've already figured out the first 4 buildings, I already made my subtraction to those or additions to those, the first set of numbers. I'm going to just go back with my first set of 4 coordinates and just change the third coordinate on each set. And so let's go ahead and put another one right here. And that puts one right here. And then our third adjusted set of coordinates. And we should have another one right there. And we're going to walk on down here to the final building right here. And we're going to put our final set of coordinates that we've adjusted right here. And we should have a building right here. There we go. Alright, so now we have, let's go up here, 2 rows of buildings. And they're spaced apart. These are, each of these cubes is hollow. And so we have a start of a city right here. Alright, here's how we figured the whole thing out. Here are the 8 commands that we actually ran to produce our 8 buildings. This is the first building that we created right here up at the top. You'll notice that its first coordinate here is 241. Now progressively, this is a negative number, so we're actually adding 30 to this. And it decreases because it's getting closer to 0. So we go from 241 to 211 to 281 to 251 right here as we go down for our first 4 buildings. Now if we go over here to the second set of coordinates, to the first number we've added 20, and this actually will make the building 20 by 20. So this first coordinate right here is 241, and it changes over here to 261. So we're actually subtracting 20 each time from this number. And then all we're doing down here again is, once we've gone, this is the first building. Once we've gotten the first building, from this first number we're going to just subtract 30 from it again. So it's 231, or actually add 30 to it. 231, 201, negative 201, negative 171. So there's a difference of 30 between each one of those as well. So by taking the first number and moving it 30 each time, since the building is 20 wide and we're moving it 30, we have a space of 10 blocks in between it. Now, so what we did with the next set, since we have another row, since we've already have this row, what we did was, you'll note that the first one here is 241, 211, 281, 251 on each of those. Now all we have to do is move this second set over, and so what we're doing is we're adding 30 to each of these. So instead of 339, it's 369, and instead of 319, it's 349. And what we do is we change them on each one of these as well. So what we did is we just copied this down to here and just added 30 to it. Now the next thing we could do is we could just copy this. Say we wanted another row, we can copy this row like this. And we can add 30 again to each one of these. So it's going to be 99, 399 on each one of these. And over here it's going to be 379. And then we can just copy each one of these lines and paste it into the command line in Minecraft. And that will save us a lot of time. So we can actually do all of our calculations pretty much using Notepad by coming up with the first command. So the key is to get the first building down, which we did up here. And then we wanted to calculate, once we got our starting coordinate, we just incremented it by 20, the beginning and the end, and then we raised this middle number as the height of the building. So that's the way we calculated out the first one. Then it's a matter of just changing one variable each time. So if we change this over by 30, and we change both of them over by 30, we move the starting point 30 blocks over, it ends up giving the space of 10 blocks in between each building, because the buildings are 20 wide. So that's how you calculate it out. I'm Mungo Darkmatter, and this has been Dark Matters, and whatever you do, enjoy playing Minecraft. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.